What's the best way to start understanding and managing the daily schedule and look-ahead planning? In this video, what we're going to do is cover, and I've got some really cool space on the background here, cover exactly how a project manager, assistant PM, or assistant super or super can literally start digging into the short interval schedule on a construction project. Now, this is a question from our listeners, and I'm super excited to cover this because it will really get us into what the day-to-day looks like in the schedule, so stay with us. Jamming right over here, I want to talk about 3 different types of schedules, and I do want to remind you that a schedule is the demand side of the equation. A production plan is the simulation of what's possible in relation to that demand or that end milestone. So really we're talking about production planning. So the first thing that we have is the day plan, an all right day. That day plan is a communication tool throughout the job site that literally slices just that one day and talks about logistics and roadblocks and how zoning works throughout the day, any other considerations. So this day plan should really make it out to all workers on the project site. Let's talk about the other type of short interval plan, the weekly work plan. Now this right here is your commitment schedule or your commitment production plan. This is where you literally map out commitments and handoffs. So this is a Monday through Friday type production plan. And then we have the look ahead, and I'll just go ahead and do this with LA. The look ahead is anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks out, and it's for the purpose of aligning material procurement to the dates and then finding and removing roadblocks before they impact the work. And so if I'm answering the question, how can a PM or a super or assistants literally participate with this scheduling daily and the look ahead planning, I'm going to talk to you about 3 different phases of work. From Monday through Friday, I want you at least once a week, and actually this is an additional step, so it'll be 4. Every week I want you, especially if you're a project superintendent, to do what I call strategic planning. And the strategic planning is where you look at the overall production plan, start milestone to end milestone, and you make sure that everything is still tracking all the way to the end of the project and you still have buffers. So that's once a week. And what you're looking for is to make sure that you have materials coming, okay, meaning your supply chains are working, and that you have good buffers over here. All right? So that's step number 1 for your involvement in your daily schedule and in your look-ahead planning. Step number 2, and typically I like to do this on Tuesday with the trades. This is where you'll actually do your look-ahead plus your weekly work planning. And let me talk about both of these, and I'll do this as A and B. So A is if you have activities that are jamming out 3 to 6 weeks out, the key here is to, and this is very important, to spend 5 or 10 minutes in this meeting to ask the trades to make sure that every single activity they have is being prepared with the right labor, materials, resources, information, layout, everything, right? In the description below, we'll link you to a 17-point checklist. Sounds like a lot, but it's needed for all of these items. And when they don't have something, that's where I'm going to go ahead and get my red marker. When you don't have something, that's going to be a potential roadblock. Okay, it's not a constraint, because constraints are things that we have to deal with. It's a roadblock that needs to be removed. Okay, then the B part of that, once you've done your look ahead planning, you will literally slice out just a week of that and do commitment planning and to mark handoffs. This is where I'm going to get my blue marker right here and make the point that when you're doing your weekly work planning, you want to identify the key areas where one trade is handing over to another trade that zone that they're working in. So if I'm a superintendent or a PM or an assistant and I've already looked at the strategic overview, my second point is to make sure that I'm looking at roadblocks and making work ready with trades, and that the filter for the weekly work plan is collaborative, adjusted, and that we've marked down our handoffs. Now, I really want to make sure that this deliverable is very visual. And you will notice the LeanTact YouTube channel, the LeanTact LinkedIn channel, and any other place where I post content, that we have a really nice format where typically what we do is we'll put the look ahead up here on the top, and it will show in that normal flowable format. Okay, and then down here on the bottom, we will have the weekly work plan. And what we'll do with that is we'll slice down just 1 week, but we'll put every activity on an individual row so that we can check it off, sign it off, and make sure that those handoffs are going well. And then on that format, we have our zones and our logistics, which I will mark with a Z and an L. What we want to do in step number 2 here is make sure that the look ahead planning, roadblock removal, and commitments are being done and that it is posted. So if you're a PM or a super and you really want to do a good job with this, make sure that this is a beautiful format and that we have this by week. Okay, this is super, super important. Now let's go over here to step number 3. I want to get into a little bit of detail. Every afternoon, I like to do what's called the afternoon foreman huddle. Now, when you have this format right here, you're able to do day planning. Okay, so let me actually grab my blue marker again over here and jam out. Really, this tool allows each trade to kind of slice through it and see what's happening for that day. So what I like to do is after the crews start, they do their work, you huddle up with the foreman, and what you do is you say, okay, what are the things that we need to do tomorrow to really execute well on this project? And that becomes the discussion. And so everybody in the room, in the foreman huddle, afternoon preferably, and there are very good reasons for that, you're going to say, all right, we have these activities, and these zones, and you're going to coordinate interfaces, and you're going to solve problems. Now, one key indicator, if you're a PM, super, assistant super, or in any other one of those field roles that will participate with this, here's the key. You can't just go around and say, hey, you know, what are you doing? Where are you tomorrow? How many people do you have? What are you doing? Where are you tomorrow? How many people you have? That's not the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting is to say, we already know where we're supposed to be. We've already aligned the material. We've already looked at roadblocks. We have already made commitments. We already know where we're supposed to be, and the trade already knows how many people need to be there. So that's already a done deal. What we need to do is solve problems. So the key here, and this is what I absolutely love, is on these formats, if you have issues that are going to affect the work, these little red X's that I've drawn here, those are the things that we need to be talking about. Now, did you do a little bit of that in the look ahead plan? Yes, but this is anything in reference to tomorrow. So these meetings need to be solving problems. And actually, let me tell you one other thing. I, in addition to using the format, like to actually have visual boards inside the conference room. Let's say that you had your zone maps, and I'll just draw it like it's isometric. Let's say you have your zone maps for your building and maybe your logistics plans over here. You can, before the foreman meeting even starts, mark on these visual zone maps any problems, and that's mainly the discussion in the foreman huddle every afternoon. Solve problems for the next day. Okay, so that's step number 3. Step number 4, and this is absolutely crucial. Once you have made the plan for the day, you've got to communicate it to workers. So as a super, a PM, or an assistant in any of those roles, what we have to do is make sure that this format and any planning that we've done get out to the workers. And what I recommend you doing, and I'll just draw workers like this. They're super important, but there's too many of them to give individual stick figures. But what you want to do is basically orient the team to the day plan. So you'll cover things like what's going on for today, what's the weather, where are the inspections happening, when are the material deliveries, you know, so on and so forth. Make this information in this slice and the problem solving that you've done from your visuals, communicate that to the workers so that everybody can see as a group, know as a group, and act as a group. So that's step number 4, is the worker huddle. So in summary, and we're not supposed to do this on YouTube, but I'm going to do this anyway, strategic planning, look ahead planning, a weekly work planning, plan the next day, communicate it to the workers. That's your role, especially for supers and assistant superintendents. I hope this really answers the question. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to put this into a graphic and turn this into a blog post and give you some other really cool links in the description below for this information. I hope you love it. On we go.